This week on Media Delta, Fantasy Kaleidoscope, The Memories of Phantasm. Yes, even in anime form, everyone really is just here for Embodiment of the Scarlet Devil. Hello and welcome to another episode of Media Delta. We have a kind of an interesting thing because it's something we've taken a look at a web animation thing before when we looked at Mappy. They're kind of rare, at least definitely compared to your OVAs, your theatrical releases and all that. But they do kind of exist. And we're taking a look at another one today. This time actually from way across on the other side of the pond. We are actually taking a look at a Japanese web, or I guess, I don't know if web's really the right thing. But we're actually taking a look at a Dojin anime. And of course, we're taking a look at a Dojin anime. What better thing for it to be based on but the kind of king of all Dojin stuff? We're taking a look at a Toho anime today. One by the name of Fantasy Kaleidoscope, The Memories of Phantasm. That is actually still an ongoing series. The last episode of this actually came out December 31st, 2019. So actually less than a year ago. And the first episode came out in 2011. So it's it takes a while for episodes to come out, but when you watch the show, you can kind of see why it might take a while for a Dojin Circle to do this. So, with that, I was not the only one who watched this, so please introduce yourselves in alphabetical order.
Hello, this is Carnival, and I do appreciate how these episodes break down because you can kind of see where there's a change in direction.
Yep.
I'm Coolio, your friendly neighborhood Baka.
I'm Loco, and my spell card is Moving Sign, blaring Vuvuzela Fantasyland wide.
I'm Torpid Typist, and I'm here to be deeply confused.
Yes. So, having something based on Toho means that you can have it, be a lot of things. What Fantasy Kaleidoscope at least attempts to do in some part, and maybe better so with different episodes, is that it tries to kind of cover the events of particular games. Although it's not a direct retelling, they do take some liberties with how the stories are told, but they're in general trying to be based on one of the games. There are 14 episodes that have been released so far, and in that you got it. It varies on how long it takes to focus on a particular game. For example, Perfect Cherry. There is just one episode based on Perfect Cherry Blossom, but also naturally for it being what it is, there are 3 episodes based on the embodiment of the Scarlet Devil.
And 13 episodes, not 14.
Oh, is it?
13?
13?
There's a 14th one, but we didn't watch it.
Okay, yeah, 'cause I think
there's no
that's
fan up for it yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that one. Yeah, that's the one that came out last year.
No, it came out this year in September, apparently.
Oh, okay.
It just doesn't have a voice track because nobody has dubbed it. It's that new.
Yeah. So yeah, that's also another thing is that there is no, I guess, official dub of this series. It's all technically fan dubbed, which for the most part it seems to be fine. Although there are some cases in which the dubbing might not exactly be up to snuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So we're just kind of going to go in kind of order and just kind of at first go through what we generally thought of it. And then we're just going to kind of point apart things that we at least wanted to discuss. So Carnival, what were your general impressions and what's some you want to talk about?
I liked it a lot, but I can definitely see, I enjoyed the first 6 episodes more than I did the back 6 episodes that we watched.
You can definitely tell that there was at one point, I guess, a change in direction, or at least a change in maybe not direction, but in
priorities, I guess.
Yeah, how they wanted to do things. That usually can tell by their intro, which you're going to see a lot. Because that's actually one thing that we should mention is the fact that these episodes are 13, maybe they range from 13 to 16 episodes or minutes long. which is great because about a quarter of that is just the intro and ending.
Yep, both times they have full 1 minute, 24-second intros and endings. So,
Yeah. It makes me really wish that at SciTube you can start at a certain spot. Um, but yeah, is there anything in particular you wanted to mention?
um, good use of the Toho music, but that's kind of cheating, I guess.
Yeah, you can't really do like a Toho something and not have the good remixes. Like, well, not having good remixes of the music. Like I don't think it uses any of like the particular like it definitely like of course it uses like the melodies, but I don't think it uses any of like the popular remixes. Like you don't hear that one rendition of Bad Apple, you don't hear like Night of Nights. You hear what's it, Flowering it's like flowering something, the theme of Sakya. You hear that melody, but not quite. You don't hear like Night of Nights.
God, wait, I thought Night of Nights was actually the name of the theme because that's
No,
how much.
Nope.
it's flowering something.
Okay, but yeah, but
Yeah, it came from it's Phantasmagoria Flower View, I believe, is when the actual song came from.
yeah, it
Uh,
makes sense.
Um, but yes, you definitely hear like you hear Ewan Owen was her on actually a few different instruments. Like there's one time where you hear it like played on a harpsichord, and then you hear it on an accordion, which sounds really weird. Um, but
Uh,
yes,
I think most of the music is made by a circle called Yuhei Satellite. If people want to check that out, apparently.
oh yeah, that actually does remind me that the circle that produces this is named, I believe, let's see, Mampuku Jinja, I believe.
Yes, Manpuku Jinja is the animation music or the organizer that puts together most of the assets.
Yeah,
Because I believe the endings have completely different artists and animators.
yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, uh, anything else you want to mention?
Not at the moment for this point.
All right, Coolio.
Yeah. So, Toho Fantasy Kaleidoscope. I had a lot of fun watching this. I'm not super familiar with all things Toho, but for what this was, I really enjoyed it. The the actual animation was really good, especially considering that it is entirely a fan work. Uh, Most of the voice acting is also pretty good. Some of it's a little flat, but again, it's a fan work. People are not necessarily getting paid for this. Um, Music, excellent. Whenever there are uh, actual battle scenes, like Danmaku scenes, those tend to turn out pretty well as well. One thing that I will say, though, is that in order to get full enjoyment from this series, it really helps to know a lot more about Toho than I do. Like, I have found myself having to open up the Toho wiki and look up the games that these are based on just to figure out at least who people are, because this series does not spend any amount of time explaining who is who and what they're doing, more than they have to. So I guess that is my main gripe with it. But the rest of it is just, you feel the love coming out of it for the series, and I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would say like because the thing is like the first episode being based off Perfect Cherry Blossom. There's not a whole like I don't know if they kind of go with the motif of it's a party quite yet in episode one.
No.
But like the episodes that are based on Embodiment of the Scarlet Devil are based off of a party that is being held at the Moria Shrine, and it's there's everyone there practically from like the first, or I'd say the first from like Embodiment of the Scarlet Devil to like oh I don't know,
Subterranean animism.
yeah. There is a lot of characters in that that
Yeah,
will show up on screen.
I think as far as the first episode, like there was no party yet because I'm pretty sure that Reimu was trying to hold off as long as she possibly could in order to avoid there being a party
Yeah.
because she's lazy.
Yes. Yes, she
It's
is.
winter, it's cold. I don't want to clean the shrine. Go away.
Well, as soon as it's going to be spring, people are going to start gathering, and that means she has to clean up.
Again, Rimu's order of priorities is lazing about, money, alcohol, Marissa, and down at 50 is like actually doing her job.
And yes, there is definitely a lot of alcohol in the first 4 episodes.
Yes.
The entire series is all about alcohol. I don't know what you're talking about. It's just the first episode.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about its creator, it makes perfect sense.
Well, yes. He is a drunken Shinto priest.
Yep. Yep. So is that kind of what you wanted to bring up?
For now, yeah.
All right, Loco.
I mean, I'm not gonna stop if I start, so I don't know if I even should.
Well.
Yeah, here's the thing. I like Toho. That's no secret. But at the point when the first episode came out, it was already a huge media enterprise. Like, there were 14 full Windows games, a trial game had already been released for one that was coming out. There were several music CDs, like 27 chapters of a book, 3 different manga series already. One of them was still ongoing. It was already a media like megalith. It was already a huge thing. And they were surprisingly conservative in what they decided to put in the first episode. And since it's been ongoing, and so has Toho, there's always going to be more material for them to adapt, so it's probably never going to end. So I think that it's interesting to note that they didn't put anything from the print works or the music CDs or anything. Like, for the sake of Fantasy Kaleidoscope, they put just stuff from the games. And for some reason, they kind of exacerbated some of the personality traits, and I mean, that's fine. It's fan work. Doesn't have to stick to canon. Like, Reimu is not actually supposed to be as grumpy as she is in the first episode and ongoing, but it works because, I mean, it does. But other than that, they adapted a lot of stuff from the fighting games into the first 4 episodes, and they kept at it, which makes sense. It's a lot more visually appealing to have something that you can see from not a bird's eye view when you're animating from not a bird's eye view. And all the shmups are obviously bird's eye view, regular vertical shmup perspective. So I think that that's an interesting use of them, shoehorning in things that were introduced only for, beat 'em up mechanics into the animation.
Yeah, and also the fact that because Aya shows up in one of the mainline games, right? She's not just shoot the bullet and double spoiler, right?
Aya first shows up in Phantasmagoria Flower View long before Mountain of Faith, where she actually matters because she lives on Yokai Mountain as one of the Tengu. They do immediately use, like, she's probably one of the animators' favorites or something. They use her as an excuse for Marisa getting involved in the Embodiment of Scarlet Devil incident as early as she did.
Yeah.
Like, Aya's the one that's like, I can't enter. There's a weird Chinese gatekeeper, and also if I go through the window, I immediately end up outside like magic.
Yeah. Yeah, like, also, yeah, it's kind of weird to know where they were kind of drawing from mostly. Like, as we mentioned, like the main, like, the end boss of I always forget the full name, but the first fighting game, like Immaterial Power,
Immaterial and Missing Power, Suika.
yes, like, she shows up.
she shows up a lot, and she doesn't really have a role for a lot of them. I don't think they even reference or adapt the actual game, but that's fine because canonically for her game, she's the only one that wins, which is kind of weird for a game where you want Goku to always win, and Reimu is the Goku of the series. Heck, they go as far music-wise. I guess I'll go ahead and comment this. They go as far as any of the multi-part episodes or the multi-part adaptations of the games. They decided to have little Dragon Ball-esque instrument recaps where you hear that telltale horn that I really wish I had identified the actual name of the instrument, but I couldn't find it after we were done. That references the whole little horn in the actual Dragon Ball Z recap theme music. I don't know, leitmotif, whatever it is.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Just that, like, whenever they're doing the recap, just it's that very distinct. Here we are, blah blah blah. The thing you saw a year ago.
Yeah. To be fair, it was
which
a
is
year.
which is fair because these have been released like either a year or half a year apart. Like I'm looking at the release dates, and yeah, pretty much.
Oh no, like
2019,
I'm not.
2018.
Yeah, I wasn't saying that's a bad thing. It's just it was literally it's a year ago. You probably forgot what we did. So
Especially in a
Maybe-
multi-part episode.
Maybe you didn't come to Comic-Con and buy my DVD. That's fine. I'll recap it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that your bit for now?
I think so, until we get to actual talking points of each episode or something.
All right. Torpo.
So I had fun with this. I enjoyed it. The earlier episodes were honestly a lot stronger than the later ones, in my opinion. I think the first three were actually pretty good, which was the initial arc. It looked nice for the most part, though. I will say the last arc, which was 6 episodes long, 6 fucking episodes for one arc.
for imperishable night of all games too.
including the extra stage.
Yeah. For something that's 6 episodes long, they cut content in the weirdest parts. Like, they had relatively few fights, honestly. The one they had was pretty alright, but it's like there was just random skipping around and also just like, we're gonna fight, and then immediately cut to the enemy being defeated. And it's like, wait, what? What just happened?
Yeah, it's like, oh, by the way, Wriggle, Nightbug, and Mistia were here.
What
For
have I-
like 2 seconds.
This is this is my house. This is my beautiful wife.
Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was.
So yeah, the later ones had some pacing issues, and Imperishable Night did not need to be 6 episodes. But overall, I think it's been pretty fun. Wasn't huge on the Cherno episode, but that's whatever.
That's because they did your favorite character dirty. Let's get that out in the open, or at least your favorite
Yeah.
musical theme.
I mean, Sue does that canonically, so it's to form. It checks out.
But yeah, no, it was fun. It was neat. For what was it one man or was it a circle that did it?
It seems like it's a circle, but I can't get like a roster of the circle, so I don't
Okay.
know.
Well, it was essentially a small time project. It was very well done, honestly, like surprisingly so. That said, having a full length intro and a recap for a 13-minute episode was excessive.
Yes. So it means like the actual new content's like less than 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look. Animation's expensive.
It's hard too. Yeah, it's time consuming. But yeah, no, I thought it was fun. I'll probably talk more about some other stuff after some folks get a chance to talk. But
All right.
that's it. I also did like, as someone mentioned before, like I did like the arrangements. Some of the arrangements of the various Toho songs were actually really good. Like You and Owen was her on fucking our harpsichord.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. So yeah. I enjoyed this quite a bit. Especially in like I'll agree with everyone else. I do find that the first like up to the point where you get to the 6-parter, it was perfectly it's pretty good, and pretty enjoyable to watch. Not that the other parts are not enjoyable to watch, but it just kind of gets a little harder to
Excessive?
keep up with. Yeah. Um.
Yeah, that the last arc is like fairly disjointed.
Yeah. It's a little weird. Um. But yeah, I definitely I do feel like, well, especially since also it's just okay. It's free in air quotes. Like the Toho games are free in that they're basically easier to find links to playing them just that you download rather than actual buying them like you're supposed to, but no one does, at least over here.
Not that you
'Cause-
can't now.
yeah, there's stuff that it's easier to get legitimately so to speak. But this one usually it's on YouTube and you can just watch this.
Mhm.
Um, uh, and yeah, it's like if you watched them all back to back, it's like 2 hours. Like it's
Ye-
the length of like a a slightly longer movie. So it's perfectly watchable. And I definitely enjoyed it. It does, I will say, the more you actually know about Toho, the more it makes sense. Because there are a lot of characters that you kind of need to know who they are to kind of understand some of their aspects.
I mean, unsurprisingly, it's pure fucking fan service.
Yep. Although
Not in
if
the like titty fan service, but more like the you guys
yeah,
remember this shit
This
kind
is
of
a
There,
thing.
fan
there
service.
was definitely some titty fan service.
there was some in the first
Yeah,
in the first couple episodes. There are a surprising amount of
there was the hot spring.
yeah.
I mean, there has to be. It's anime.
Well, also it's a little weirder with what Toho is, but also it is a different culture.
Yes.
Um, yeah. But yeah, if you although I will say, if you know the denizens of the Scarlet Devil Mansion, like those characters, you should be able to get by. Um, but yeah, it's the more you know about Toho, the more you can kind of piece together what's going on.
Yeah, Scarlet Devil Mansion is pretty much my starting knowledge.
I mean, I
So,
think that's pretty much like I would say that's probably about 80% of the people who get into Toho is probably that's their first introduction to Toho.
Doesn't know
yeah,
that apparently they're also soon starlings. Like in the fighting games, they're essentially the entire fighting game roster, despite the fact that the rest of the games get maybe the final boss and an extra boss, maybe
Yeah,
as playable characters. Like most of the Scarlet Devil Mansion is the only characters that are retained and return all the time.
yeah,
I love Dio.
yes.
although in order to get your 100%, though, you have to also know the people at Moria Shrine. You have to know the people at Aente. So it was. I know as I was watching, it was definitely a learning experience.
Joke's on you. I don't know dick.
Oh, well, there you go.
That is a lie, and you know it.
At least
I vaguely know some things, but let's be real. I know very little in the grand scheme of things.
yeah, it's mostly the stuff that you probably know through osmosis, not the very nitty gritty.
True. Like Loco, I think here is our Toho expert.
Yeah, and even I admit that even if you did beat all of the games, there's variations depending on your loadout when you go on the shmups anyway, and the difficulty and all that. No, it's not feasible for you to know everything about the series unless you're watching a bunch of Let's Plays or skimming through articles.
It is surprisingly dense, but that also comes from being an incredibly long-running series.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like the first Toho game came out in what, like 91?
Probably I would say I think it's 95.
If we're talking PC 98, yes, probably
Because
95.
I think not Dim. I keep on forgetting what the first one's name is.
Highly responsive to prayers.
Yes, yes, that one.
1996.
Oh, it's 96. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Well, you can
No,
tell.
it's
I know that
97 actually.
I was gonna say, well, 90 or the second one, you can definitely tell when it came out because it's based on Twinkle Star Sprites, and that came out in
It's
97.
it's
Yeah,
97.
1996 was just he showed it off, and then 1997 it actually came out
Yeah.
for purchase. That's right.
Yep. So yeah, it's been 23 years now.
Mhm.
Mass
Yeah, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
It has a very very open-ended canon as well.
I do want to say Toho games have fucking incredible names.
Yes, they do. Also, it's kind of the thing you kind of forget how much of Toho stuff are just references to random things.
I mean, it kind of has to be. That's the entire premise of like basically every non-original character.
Yeah.
There's
Oh my
something that land forgot. I mean, we forgot. The real world forgot.
It's so deeply referential.
I love Princess. I love the Moon Princess.
Yeah, the fact that they just spent time just going over Princess Kaguya.
They didn't really go over it specifically. They just like referenced, yeah, she's the same Princess Kaguya. Here's a brief synopsis, but they didn't really say, yeah, here's the bamboo cutter and everything. Here's the whole spiel with the 5 impossible requests. No, they just summarized it. It's fine.
To be fair, they don't need to do that because it's primarily for a Japanese audience, so they would have probably heard this already. So
That is true.
Well, yeah, but considering that Toho at this point, 10 Desires had like the first episode was released right before 10 Desires, and 10 Desires kind of skewed the thing by saying Prince Shotoku is a girl. So they probably had to step in and say, no, this is actually the same Kaguya. The exact same.
fair.
Now I'm also just going down because I wanted to see what I was using the actual like retrographs list to determine when that first one came out, and I'm just looking. It's like it's great when you just scroll down the list and then you just see the Toho block at 6. In which 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 12.8, and 7.5 all share 6.
Also, I do want to say a weird thing really quick is that the last arc is 6 episodes long. And so they do some weird pacing stuff. Like have the secret stage apropos of fucking nothing.
Mm-hmm. The 2 episodes dedicated to the secret stage.
Yeah, 2 episodes dedicated to secret stage. Whereas in the first 3 episodes, they didn't actually have that, and they befriended the secret boss just right the fuck away.
Mm. I mean, they beat her first off screen with reused animation assets, but
Flanders they didn't beat
Really
actually.
just put her in the water or
Yeah, Marissa just found her and befriended her right away.
Mm.
And then they confronted,
both of the sisters at the same time.
Yeah, because they were buddies again.
Yep. That was another quirk that I know why they probably didn't do it, but it kind of annoys me. If they have an episode that's focused on Cherno, why didn't they make it the 9th episode?
You're right. You're absolutely right. But it's like I know. It's like come on. It's right there.
It needed more math.
I hate you.
Perfect math.
That you're gonna tell me that it needed somebody to state that there's no buses in Gensokyo, huh?
Also, Marissa stole no precious things.
The fanon is mimetic.
Yes.
Let's just say that.
Incredibly.
Look, all I'm saying is that most of my knowledge from Toho is from like external like mimetic stuff and also various musical arrangements. I've never played a single fucking game. But goddamn, the fucking the people involved, like the fans, are so incredibly creative. It is one of the most like prolifically creative fandoms I've ever seen.
The fact that there are so many rhythm games now have to have their own sections in the game based entirely on Toho remixes.
Yeah, various Toho arrangements.
Like that Groove Coaster game that came out on the Switch, the Toho arrangement section is bigger than pretty much any other section, including the Vocaloid section.
It's probably because it's cheap.
Probably.
But, yeah, no, oh god, there's so much. There's so fucking much.
Like, Zood is the perfect example of what someone should do when they hold an IP and how they license it out to people. Like, seriously.
There is a reason why I hold a massive amount. Like, it's funny, like, when we first did Embodiment of the Scarlet Devil and Ranking of Shmups, it was me going into it as, aha, Toho, funny. And then you kind of look, actually, when you actually sit down and take a look into it, like, there is actually a lot of stuff to respect about the
There's so much
Toho
good music.
franchise. So much good music. It's a like an incredibly creative franchise. Like, there's something like it's the thing about it is it's the most, you know, mimetic song, I feel, because its video is actually now used to like serve as tech demos for seeing if you can render it on various consoles. But it does say something. The Bad Apple music video, that one remix, there is something you can say about a franchise when your video is entirely in black and white and just in silhouettes, but you can tell exactly what each character is just by their silhouette.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That is effective character design.
Yes.
Man,
Also,
it's amazing how well people have translated designs from Potato, and I respect that.
Yes, because Zoon's actual art is bad. Like, it gets the message across, but it's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, his design decisions are all right because you can tell apart the Potato silhouettes.
It's just the faces. The faces are a little potatoey.
It's interesting because if you go back to the PC-98 stuff, it's a weird direction that the watercolor art took on its way to Potato-dom. Because it didn't used to be as potato-y as it became.
Yeah. It's just once it hit Windows.
It also had the whole 4:3 perspective thing that a lot of manga artists do, where it's formulaic. Talking about art styles is a little difficult for me because a lot of it is just, I have a style, I can imitate it, I can evoke Akira Toriyama whenever I want because you can tell the exact stylings of that artist, the pointy chins, the polygonal hair.
Yeah.
Soon went from having a style that was very samey to a different style that was differently samey.
Also, my favorite thing that I think of when I think of the PC-98 era of Toho and its art, there was a screenshot of the Spriter's resource for the page for PC-98. And it was the screenshot, because if you go to Spriter's resource, it's just a site, that has sprites on it. It lists what the most popular games are for a system. And there was just a screenshot of it. It was like, okay, this is the PC-98 in one screenshot. It was Puyo Puyo, Sex 2, and then one of the Toho games. Like, there's the PC-98 in one screenshot.
I feel like there should have been more porn.
Yeah, it might have actually been Sex 1 and Sex 2, and then one of the Toho games.
Poor Puyo Puyo. I mean, it makes sense. It's identified more by Sega consoles than it is by PC-98.
Yeah.
Even though that's its own. That's where it was born.
Yeah, also the PC-98 art for the Monogatari games is kind of creepy, but not in like the pervy way. It looks weird. But that's another conversation.
Fair enough.
So I think we were still technically on me. So I think we're gonna go another round again. So Carnival, is there anything you want to bring up?
I think you should start with Torpid because I started the last round, or
No,
All right.
round robin was we just.
round robin.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
because otherwise we would just be asking Torpo again general impressions.
yeah,
Same
right,
exact
right.
question.
But
I really
I
like
guess
the titty.
a lot of it is just enjoyable of how, just in character returns of characterization, I believe even if there are some like flenderization that happens because it's a fan work, and thus
Go on.
that in terms of fan work, and thus also for we don't have unlimited time, so we need to make things. It's just how much, basically, is just Marissa and Sakia basically being the two biggest hitters in the plot, as long as it doesn't come down to a fight. I really appreciate that.
Look, Reimu exists to finish the fight,
Yeah.
but goddamn if she'll be asked to do anything else.
Usually it's Sakio that has to push.
Rainbow, your girlfriend's in trouble again. Go, please, hurry up.
How long can you move in stop time, Reimu?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'll just make sure you can't either.
Yeah. So is there anything else you want to bring up?
I couldn't really think of anything else for more characterization wise. Actually, I did think of the whole the one part I did like of the Imperishable Night was the 6th episode, the extra stage, and just how much it comes down to. Yeah, no, the princess is like, yeah, I'm gonna send everybody in this town to go bug my friend here, because I'll have nothing else better to do. Everything else, I got bored of doing everything else, so all that I have left is to go bug this person for eternity.
I mean, after 1,300 years of being alive, yeah, you do run out of things to do.
I guess that kind of encapsulates Toho plot in a nutshell of just thing happens. We gotta go fix it before, and then after we get done, everybody goes home to drink.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill you 50 or 60 times.
Yeah.
And then you'll get blasted.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's good for now.
All right, cool. Yep.
Is there anything else that I want to talk about? I guess, yes, even for having known, for having known in general about the residents of Scarlet Devil Mansion, it was nice to watch the Scarlet Mist incident arc and just get a better feel for the characters in general. Like, for instance, Flandra, who was just completely stuck in her room for 495 years, and just no one wants to deal with her. No wonder she's messed up.
Can you blame them?
I mean, she wouldn't be that messed up if she wasn't just locked in a room for all time. At least that's the theory.
Yeah, that would probably do it for you.
Yeah. I think I don't know if you guys are familiar at all with, I think it's minus T.
I am not.
I feel like I've heard it before, but I don't remember where.
They've made a whole lot of 3D animations of just these incredibly elaborate Toho Danmaku battles.
All done in Blender, right?
I think so, yeah. And I feel like if you were to, I feel like these would fit perfectly. Well, other than complete change of art style, they would fit in well for filling in where certain Danmaku battles in the series might have been just kind of skimmed over. There's not a whole lot of them out right now. I think there's like 5 or 6, but it did kind of remind me of that, and I would love to see more of that in this. I don't know. That's about all I got, I think.
All right. Loco.
There's a lot I can go over, but let's stick to general stuff since we haven't actually specifically started asking about particular episodes.
I mean, there's not going to be any specific questions.
Yeah, I think we're just going to keep this more general.
There isn't. Oh, okay. Well, I like
Talk
that.
about whatever you want.
I like that each of the adaptations episodes has a extra subtitle, where they reference an actual movie title, like Doctor Strangelove or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the H-Bomb. For Perfect Cherry Blossom, it was The Ordinary Magician or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Kotatsu.
My personal favorite title was Fandom Muxed.
You know that's not a title. You know it. That's just the YouTube uploader's decision.
Yeah. Also, you start to realize that people have not gone on the bandwagon of maybe be cautious of what you shorten Japanese to.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I did found links to the fights.
What do y'all mean? I'm confused, but I feel like I shouldn't know.
Yeah, that's something we can discuss afterwards.
Yeah.
Yes, my
Let's see. The other titles are Interview Without the Vampire, which, it's
Yeah, that one's
Interview with
fun.
the Vampire.
Yeah, that was good.
Judgment Day, which was the Phantasmagoria episode title, but it's Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Godzilla King of the Monsters, but instead it's Daidarobochi King of the Monsters, the monster that Cerno thought she saw. The Night the Earth Stood Still for Imperishable Night, and the only neat thing to do for the extra stage parts of Imperishable Night.
NEET.
Yeah, non-employed education, or I don't remember what that's.
Or in
It's
training.
Yeah, it's no employment, education, or training.
So yeah, I really like that they decided to reference old movies. Like that's something that I can appreciate when they do, because a lot of things in Toho, spell cards, occult legends, and stuff like that are about, hey, I'm referencing this old thing that may or may not be tangentially related to this. And yeah, that's a neat thing that I liked of this series in particular. That aside, I also liked and also simultaneously bemoaned Sanae's cameos throughout the series, where they were trying to set up Mountain of Faith, explaining that apparently for the plot of the fantasy Kaleidoscope fanon, that apparently there's I don't know, you can visit early in order to migrate, to make sure that you can survive on the faith of the fantasy world that is Gensokyo. Because Sanae was in the netherworld way before apparently they managed to migrate, according to the progression of episode 1 and the episode 5 onwards.
So wait, what's the nice thing then? Because I just thought she was a different shrine family that just happened to be there. That just wasn't as successful as Raymond.
Okay, let me put it this way. Canonically, the Shrine Maiden, the only Shrine Maiden, the Hakure Shrine, is Reimu. In the actual games, what happens for Toho 10 Mountain of Faith is that because the outside world is running out of faith, apparently an actual shrine in the outside world with an actual descendant of one of its gods, being half priestess and essentially half actual goddess, that is Sanae, ends up somehow making a deal with Yukari to help her migrate the shrine on top of Yokai Mountain, alongside a lake and a secret god that she wasn't aware that she was the actual descendant of, so they could gather faith from the yokai on the mountain and the humans on the end. So essentially, Sanae isn't supposed to be there for Perfect Cherry Blossom or Eastern Scarlet Devil or any of that, because she's not. But for Fantasy Kaleidoscope, they essentially imply Sanae gets to visit early. She gets to get her outfit early in the netherworld. She gets to see little glimpses during the Imperishable Night incident because she gets to peek. And for Eastern Scarlet Devil's framing device, it's subterranean antagonism has already happened.
Animism.
Why did I screw that up so bad? Anyway.
Antimony.
That's already ended, and the only reason that event happened is because of the Morita Shrine already being there. So that explains that. But it's interesting, but it's one of those things where it's like the second season of Suzumiya Haruhi, where it's like the timeline is all over the place compared to when the episodes come out, and it's hard to keep track of and kind of uncomfortable, if I'm going to be honest. The
Makes
events
sense.
are all over the place, timeline-wise.
Yeah, it makes
But
sense.
There's also
interesting.
the fact that Aya is just literally everywhere.
That's fair, though, because I guess this is the only part of the print works that actually got adapted. Aya has already had like the newspaper amongst the Tengu long before the Maria Shrine incident, and she's already had interviews with people from Scarlet Devil Mansion and from events that she wasn't in. Shoot the Bullet is essentially plotless, where Aya goes out to take pictures of everybody's spell cards without her actually putting any bullets of her own in the pictures. So it makes sense that Aya somehow has to know about everything, despite not being, basically omniscient yokai sage like Yukari, or actually involved in any of the incidents like Reimu, Marisa, and Sakuya and Yomu sometimes. So it kind of makes sense for her to be places. It's a little strange to make her immediately friendly with Reimu and Marisa, but, Fanon has done weirder and crazier things.
I mean, they can't really make Aya hostile toward people just at any given point, because they're still kind of following the general story of the games.
Well, for Phantasmagoria and Mountain of Faith, she is antagonistic, but since she's an unlockable playable character in the former, and in the latter is just a stage 4, stage 3 boss, I think. They had to do a lot of maneuvering to make her likable or the butt of a joke for the other parts where she shouldn't be.
Nerd.
Yeah, you knew I was gonna do this though.
Hey, Torpo, just wait until we do something fate related.
No.
Swear to
shut-
God, I will get us to do something fate related.
Just putting that out there.
Never. Look, just remember Fate Stay Night is valid now.
Yes.
Believe me, I've made it clear he knows.
Yep. So is there anything else you want to add?
Oh, a lot, but let's not.
All right. Torpo.
My brain is turned to mush. Give me a second to collect my thoughts. I will say one thing is, I mean, it's in part because of the way it sticks to the games, but it is hard to keep track of shit at sometimes. Like, really hard.
Oh, yes.
Like, obviously there's the gaps in between games. That's inevitable and not surprising.
Mhm.
But also, like, fucking... I know I mentioned it before, but, like, the last 6 episodes, Imperishable Night, was a hot mess.
Interminable night.
Felt that way. Yeah, no, because it was just kind of jumping around a lot, skipping fights, which is like, no.
Yeah, that was my biggest frustration with is like, what? No, give us the fight here.
You can't just fucking skip Princess Kaguya. How could you do that? It was really good, because it's like, now you gotta fight me, and then fucking smash cut to her being on the ground beat to shit.
Yeah, that was definitely disappointing.
They did it twice. They didn't just do it once.
They did it fucking twice. But it was just like a little bit frustrating how much it jumped around and how much it skipped kind of cool stuff, but then kept in, like, it had a lot of exposition despite, like, it could have just relegated that to a separate episode in between, but instead it was just like weird amounts of talking and then just skipping between the actually interesting shit.
This should team up with Minus T. That would be the perfect combination.
Yeah, but unfortunately. The other thing too is I find it funny that at this pace, Zen will just keep releasing more games before they'll actually finish an arc. Like, it's kind of like the pace. That's the other thing, is having 6 episodes dedicated to one arc when you release these episodes at a pace of like 1 or 2 a year is a big oof.
Like, that's why I really feel like there was a change in, like, priorities with, I don't know, like, management or such. It's just, it definitely feels like there was a change in something, because clearly this was a weird choice to just do this.
I want to take a blind guess and think that maybe there was a change in the tools, because they started doing more ambitious stuff with the endless corridor, where the graphics would change, the rotation would happen for the hallway. Like, there's a possibility that they upgraded or changed tool sets entirely, and as a result, they decided to do more ambitious effects, and that slowed them down. That's me being gentle, though. They could have easily summarized it a lot more. They could have. They didn't.
Yeah.
But the reused assets do make me think, yeah, this is probably half cutting corners and half, my computer can't render as fast as I thought it could.
Yeah, like, legitimately, it could be any number of things, but it's just a little bit frustrating. That said, I'm glad how perfectly they captured how much Yukari likes fucking with people.
Yeah.
Oh, she loves it, though.
He does. It's great.
Just yoinking sake bottles.
Drinking sake bottles, disappearing for 1 second from somebody that it's the subordinate of a person that you were talking to, even though you didn't need to. Just showing up behind a person and leaving them hanging mid-sentence because you can.
Casually vibing in the void.
Oh, the power of a gap yokai.
Oh, yeah, so that's all I gotta say for now.
All right. Actually, did anyone have any other key things that they wanted to talk about? Because we've been talking about this for a while.
Due to the fact that they avoided the print works, I feel like there was one single scene where they put a young baby Marisa listening to Kane as a teacher in the human village, talking about, I don't remember exactly what, but the idea is that they shoehorned in a justification for Marisa is essentially a regular human who actually was raised in the village. That would have normally been covered in something like the Curiosities of Lotus Asia stories, where the role would have been given to a different half yokai called Rinosuke, who owns a shop, but he is woefully absent in every shape, way, or form, because it's based entirely on the games and not on any manga or any print works. Like, the 3 Fairies of Light that show up in Fairy Wars don't show up at all. I don't know if they'll even bother adapting any of that, even though they should. It's strange and interesting to see that sort of fan and canon jump, where they go like, I want to cover this. I'm not a fan. I'm just gonna subtly reference, yeah, this is a regular human that decided to study magic for whatever reason.
To be fair, part of it is just a limit of time and scope.
Maybe.
They only have so many resources, and these take a lot of time to put out to begin with.
It's in that respect, it feels a lot like prequel The Adventure.
Yeah.
But other than that, I can't think of anything that jumps out at me. Maybe eventually when they adapt more of Mountain of Fate.
Yep. All right. Anyone? Any last things?
A dog wants to add a comment, but no, not from me.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
Good to go.
All right. Then in that case, we're going to rank this. So we are going to rank this using our normal 1 to 21 scale, with 1 being absolute mastercraft, 21 being absolute garbage. Don't even bother, like, ironically watching it because it won't be worth your time. So, Carnival, what number would you give Fantasy Kaleidoscope: The Memories of Phantasm?
So, to be on theme, I would say put this at 6, just to continue the Toho block. But in actuality, I'd probably say around like a 7 or an 8.
All right. Koyo.
I enjoyed it a little more than that, honestly. I would put it between 3 and 5.
All right. Loco.
I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea where I would put it. There's a lot of fanon works that are equally as interesting, and minus T or even the Miko Miko Dance Mud Spike stuff. I also enjoy looking at.
I posted the list.
Though it's
Yeah.
so I can compare with the other series that have gotten on there. Let me see. Dang, Sonic the Hedgehog is at 10. All right, I think it deserves at least a 9, considering that it was an independent project.
All right.
9 would be a fitting number.
It would.
I see what you're doing, and I hate it.
Torpo.
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking a 9 too.
All
Like,
right.
I guess I'm not a diehard Toho fan. I thought it was like perfectly fine. It is all right.
Yep. So we got a bit of a spread, which it seems like I kind of went a little bit higher than most. I was thinking around the 5-6 area. So that does so we got ranging from 3 to 9.
It's time for rock, paper, scissors.
Logically, that would put it.
Definitely more weighted toward 9, though.
Yeah. So it'd probably be around 7-ish
Or 6.
Yeah, I guess.
or 6.
Could be
Which
6.
has the dreaded one we don't talk about.
The dreaded one we don't talk about, huh?
Yeah, well, let's not talk about the ranking of where Tron got. So, so yeah, let's just start looking at what we got in 7.
Okay.
So we got American Gladiators, we got Nick Arcade, we got The Running Man, and we got East 2.
I would watch this over The Running Man.
How dare you?
Like, I'd watch this over not Running Man, but Nick Arcade and Gladiators, I'd absolutely watch Fantasy Kaleidoscope over those two. So,
Same, but I'm aware that I'm biased.
now, East 2, that's a toss-up. I'd still lean Fantasy Kaleidoscope. I'm not going to talk about Tron. And Running Man, that's also a toss-up, but that's a bit more equal in my opinion. So, I think 7 would be for at least me.
Yeah, I think The Running Man is definitely of those. The Running Man most definitely is the top of those. And just for comparison, at 8, we have Digimon the movie, Sweet Home, and the first season of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon.
I'd watch this over all of those.
I would too.
Yeah,
I
same.
like Sweet Home.
I like Sweet Home, but I would still watch this over Sweet Home. Of course, I'm less partial to horror flicks, so.
And just to put what we have at 6, Labyrinth, Mappy, Mortal Kombat, the first 14 episodes of Space Cobra, and The Hunt for the Red October.
I would watch this over Hunt for Red October any day, but I don't like Hunt for Red October, so I'm not a good voice to hear on that.
Yeah, and I have no opinion. I really don't have a whole lot of exposure to any of these things.
See, the thing that I would more say now that I think about it, I feel like this would probably be 6 or 7.
The real question is David Bowie and a lot of Jim Henson puppets or Toho. That is that Labyrinth, right?
Yes, that is that Labyrinth.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards 6 personally.
I'm kind of thinking. I do think it's probably going to be 6 or 7. I kind of am leaning more 7.
I was gonna say I'd rather watch The Running Man and American Gladiators personally,
but that means that it could be also around the same. Because what about Nick Arcade?
Because like I'd watch this over Nick Arcade maybe. I'd argue it's actually on par with these two.
Yeah, that actually I would also say that.
Yeah, so you're feeling 7's a good spot.
Yeah, how's everyone feel about 7?
I'm fine with that.
It's lower than I would have liked, but I'll go with the group.
I think it's the closest thing we're going to get to a consensus.
As funny as giving it a 6 would be.
I thought the
I-
9 was the funny number.
Well, also it would be to match with all the other Toho games. Although maybe at some point we should relook at those.
You did kind of go through them in a kind of speed run thing during ranking of shmups.
And also
Yeah.
one after the other, yeah.
Yeah, because 3 of those were no, because let's see. Yeah, 3 of those were. I forgot 3 of those were in episode 69. 2 of them were in episode 35 of Ranking of Shmups, and 2 of them were in episode 23 of Ranking of Shmups, and then one was in 166.
And there's more now, so who knows where you would put stuff like Impossible Spell Card, which may actually make you violently angry.
I mean the remaining like Toho games have been up for poll votes like twice already, and
I keep trying, but I
they
never.
have been miserably stomped into the ground. But then again, I think one of them was like, one of them was like had like a crowd favorite that I forgot what it was. It was actually the one that just closed had a Toho one, and then the one before that
was like up against like some super monster of things, so it wasn't going to win it.
Yeah. Oh, it was against Mega Man X and Mega Man Legends.
Yeah, it was never going to win that fight.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're just gonna put this at 7 just for as close of a consensus as we can get to. Fantasy I hate that word because I keep on forgetting how to spell it. I think that's it. Yep. As I end up misspelling Phantasm. Okay. What episode is this? This is gonna be 54.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It's EI, not IE. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
I guess technically first episode came out in 2011. Circle is. Let me copy and paste
How do you
this.
spell it? It's Manpuku Jinja. So
It is. It is me copying and pasted from the Toho wiki.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is web. I guess technically it wasn't originally web, but that's kind of close to what we're gonna get.
I mean, unless you want to make a new category called Dojin, but nah.
I think this is going to be the only thing we're going to do in that category.
Yeah, we're gonna head
Say
down to
don't-
Comic Cat.
Don't say that, Lolo. You know that's how you start jinx yourself.
I suppose.
Finally, it's time for
Yeah,
porn.
until we do those weren't Dojin.
The
But
ranking of porn.
I mean, I
No.
guess always X could see BlimpsCon if for moving.
Fantasy for the genre?
yeah.
Don't you have a Toho? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I have
Just the Toho genre?
well,
No.
well, you say so. Where the hell is fantasy? Why doesn't there it is? And
Interesting.
then of course the tone.
Tone is ridiculously anime.
The tone is Toho. Tone. We do have one for Toho.
Right, I forgot about
course.
that.
9.
Also, I'm going to put an H there because there is some very
Episode 3, yeah.
There's some titty. It ain't got no nip, but they're titty.
also ass.
Ass too.
Let's go. Let's just go ahead and give
Yeah.
that music.
Okay. So let's see. What charms do we want to give it for music, charm, cinematography, storytelling, action, and art? I'm already going to copy paste that thumbs up and put that in the music category.
Yes.
Anything else?
I'm a little confused about music category because the music is good, but the voice dubs there's no official. There's no official actual dubs. So I don't know if you would just go halfsies.
Well, that
Yeah, honestly, the sound category in general is weird, but it'd be also a nightmare to decouple them at this point.
yeah.
So let's not bother.
Yeah. If we can put something in.
This is a very edge case, honestly.
Yeah.
Now we've had the problem come up before, not necessarily with voice, but things like sound design too. It's
True.
it's just the misfortune of the list being so cumbersome at this point.
Yeah.
We've got so much we can't change now.
I mean, you haven't ranked the mute little animation extras that Warner Brothers did for Sonic, I assume, right? I feel like that wasn't an actual thing that you could rank, since I think it was just a bonus in some CD game.
Yeah, I think it was in it was in Sonic Jam. Uh, see, anything else you want to call out?
Okay, well, I would say the art, just
Yeah.
because, like, it's good animation. Like,
It's so good, we had to reuse a lot of it to save time.
Yes.
and like, I
Um,
guess nays, I would say just we have something for weird pacing. So
Yeah, you have that.
Also, for Nay, I would say too much back information needed
Yeah,
to enjoy.
that's the thing that I was gonna put in there. Where's my
Oh,
Delta Charms? What is it? It's this one, yes.
I feel like for the back information, it's a little strange because, in a sense, you don't really need it. There's a lot
But
of
it really
anime that
helps.
doesn't. Yeah, there's a lot of anime that doesn't explain anything about its characters or its setting. It's perfectly serviceable as a little strange thing that you watched and sat down. And sometimes it does it deliberately, like things like Panty and Stocking or Fully Cooley, where it's like, yeah, no, we're not gonna explain it. It's just wacky stuff.
Yeah.
Go away.
To be fair, though, this is a lot more dense than those.
That's fair.
So one thing I do feel like it definitely deserves is for Yay. I feel like this deserves Made of Abundant Love
oh, definitely.
Hmm.
because there's a lot of detail that went into this.
And it's not a professional work. It's not a AAA studio sitting down and drawing everything.
Yeah. Um.
It's about as professional as Zune.
Yeah. Anything else that anyone wanted to add?
For the first half, it's very good cinematographically. Like, as the episodes go on, they start doing the whole let's just animate the spell cards behind the characters as they're facing the screen, making it easy to identify which spell card it is, as opposed to the impressive stuff that Patchouli does, or the actual beams coming out of the Scarlet Sisters instead of, the actual bullets.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would convey that as a yay or an A or.
So I was thinking for cinematography, once I figure out how to get back to the list, I was thinking one thing that might work, put in the shrug.
Oh,
Because it can be good, can also be not that good.
The longer it runs, the more it seems like they're like,
I wonder if wasted potential would fit for action, especially since they go
Yes.
for a lot of
Yes.
the fights.
Yes. That I can definitely see. Nice potential. There you are. There.
I'm actually curious if the reason that a lot of the stuff is more impressive when the Scarlet Devil arc is happening or Perfect Cherry Blossom is because a lot of the characters that end up in those are actually in the fighting games, and therefore, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Toho's or Soon's guidelines for derivative works, but apparently there's kind of a strict thing where if you're like going to reference previous works, they have to be recognizable. So maybe blanking here because I have no idea. There's no actual correspondence that we can cross-reference. Maybe the actual drop in elaboration is just they were afraid of straying too far from the guidelines when referencing stuff like spell cards and characters.
Maybe.
Would be
Let's see
annoying
that.
if that's the case.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Anyone had anything else?
It is funny. It has a lot of beat moments in between the action moments. So
Yeah.
probably a thumbs up for the comedy sadness thing.
Oh, that's just for storytelling.
Oh,
I think that's probably. Should we do anything for charm, just in general?
Yeah, I was kind of waffling on that. It definitely has a nice charm to it, especially since it is a fan work. But it does kind of start to fade a little bit as you go on.
That is true. I was thinking maybe give the shrugs for charm.
Yes, I do respect its like intense dedication to the setting and the fandom.
Yeah.
storytelling is
Roughly.
fine considering that they are trying to tie in multiple routes in some games where
Yeah.
canonically only one route is successful, or the mixture thereof is questionable events and only very scarcely re-corroborated in game, as opposed to in print work. In print
Yeah.
works, it's a lot easier. Apparently, Soon feels a lot, or the artist that Soon hires for them feel a lot more comfortable just shoving all three characters in there in a flashback.
Yeah.
3 or 4.
Yeah, I think the storytelling's fine, but I don't think it's really anything noteworthy.
I mean, a lot of the work is already done by Soon.
Yeah. I think that's...
I was going to say, I think that for episodes like Phantasmagoria, the Phantasmagoria ones, it's fine because that's all after the event. That's all essentially original stuff that the artist essentially had to come up with. Because that's not an adaptation. It's here's what happens after that entire debacle is over and done with. And here's where all the characters end up. Medicine is contributing drugs to A&T. Yuka is just hanging out in the sunflower thing, not really being violent other than just being scary. Nobody likes Aya.
Yeah. I think that's good for Fantasy Kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
All right. So before we talk about what we're doing next, Carnival, is there anything you want to plug?
You can follow me at Toke_Carnival on Twitter. And that's about it at the moment.
All right, cool. Yep.
So there is the Let's Play group that I'm a part of, which is Low Bias Gaming at lowbiasgaming.net, as well as my radio show / podcast, Square Wave Symphony, your home for chiptunes, video games, and all things weird and geeky, which is available at lowbiasgaming.net /SquareSim, and also at SquareSim on Twitter.
All right. Loco.
You can go look at my YouTube at youtube.com, use your Loco. But good luck spelling that.
I usually put a link.
It'll be in the show notes.
But other than that, I'm not really active because all my devices are dying. But maybe someday, if I'm lucky.
Hashtags.
Torbo.
Twitch.tv/torpotypist at torpotypist on Twitter. And I would like to plug the gaps in space made by the shitty yokai asshole.
All right. Well, next week we return to OVA land, in which we are taking a look at Fatal Fury, the motion picture.
Oh God.
Which I'm sure will be lots of fun. Although I've actually heard okay things about it, though that's probably a death sentence. Anyway, that is going to be next week. So thank you all for listening. If you would like to look at the full list of rankings for yourself, please visit r3.ldp.life and go to the Media Delta list tab. If you would like to watch Media Delta's sister show, Retro Rank Rhapsody, you can either watch at youtube.ldp.life or by tuning into twitch.tv/LodaPuzzlo at 7:30 p.m. on Fridays, 2:30 p.m. on Saturdays, and 1 p.m. on Sundays. All those times are from the Eastern U.S. time zone. If you would like to discuss this episode with the community, you can do so by joining our Discord server, which you can do so by going to discord.ldp.life. Thank you again for listening, and I hope you tune in for our next episode.